Welcome to the summer of 2021. Some would say we never would have made it here, but we did. And you're taking Math 161 this summer, which is wonderful. I'm super excited to be working with you all. What I'm going to do in this video is work through the syllabus and the course policies. I'm going to kind of like gloss through some of the particular notions of the syllabus and what exactly it is that's written there, just by virtue of the fact that you can read the syllabus. It's available to you. I just want to post this up to be an extra resource, something to kind of give you an idea of what the syllabus and course policies are. So first, this is all of my contact information. This is on the faculty information page on Canvas. Again, this is also listed in the syllabus. Something I will mention, and I think I mentioned it in the course navigation video, the email is pretty much literally the only way you're going to be able to get in touch with me. I am not going to be in my office at all this summer, ideally. And I don't say that because I don't love my office. I actually really like my office a lot. It's got a window, which is pretty rad. Main reason is we're going to be having our second child this summer. So I have no intention of leaving the home unless I absolutely have to. So make sure that you're emailing me to get in touch with me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please use my email for that. Office hours, Monday through Thursday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. The meeting will always be available for you to go in, but I will not be there until 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Communication plan, I will respond to emails within 24 hours Monday through Thursday and within 48 hours Friday through Sunday. So make sure that you're cognizant of that, particularly as deadlines approach. Course materials, you're going to need a computer, a webcam for taking tests, and a scientific non-graphing calculator. The non-graphing part of this is egregiously important. You will get academic dishonesty citations if you're using a graphing calculator on tests. You're going to see this come up a lot in the syllabus, and that's because it comes up a lot in my life. For a computer, a Chromebook is not going to work. Okay, you're going to need a proper laptop. And when I say proper laptop, I mean one with internal storage. Chromebooks do not have internal storage. Everything is saved to the Google Cloud. If you have a desktop with a webcam, that's fantastic. If you don't have access to either of those things, if you don't have access to a laptop with internal storage or a desktop or anything, or a webcam even, shoot me an email. I know a guy who can get you stuff. And by that, I mean the college library. So let me know if you need any of those resources. Do that sooner rather than later. If we get to the week of test one and you realize you don't have what it is you need, that was a bit of an oversight on your end. You needed to make sure you needed to be on top of the syllabus and the course policies at the start of the course. Calculator notes. All in all, don't use graphing calculators on tests. If you use them on homework, I mean, you can. I think that's a really bad idea because if you get used to it on homework, you're going to get to a test and it's going to look shocking to you. So make sure that you are using proper calculators for homework so that you can practice for the test. The TI-30XIIS is a gem. It's my favorite model. I think it's fantastic. It's easy to use, straightforward operating system, cheap, which is great. The TI-30XA is the same cost as the XIIS, but the operating system is Danish. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know it's a European country that does better in the Winter Olympics than the Summer Olympics. So I don't know which one exactly, but it's their operating system and it's backwards. So it can feel pretty unintuitive when you get to logarithms. Okay, so make sure that you get the XIIS model if you can. Now for academic calendar, you're going to want to stick with the college's academic calendar. It's got all the important dates on there, like Juneteenth. It's got the last day to drop, and last day to drop with refund, last day to withdraw, the date of the ending of courses, the date of the starting of courses, etc. Make sure that you refer to that. The tentative course calendar is posted on the Start Here homepage on Canvas. Take a look at the course navigation video to see exactly where that is, and you'll see that that course calendar is a big deal. Last day to drop with refund is June 14th. Last day to withdraw is July 12th. Okay, so make sure you're cognizant of those dates. For the last day to withdraw, if you show up, okay, and obviously show up, we'll need to clarify what that means. Anytime after July 12th of this course, you're going to get a grade. For better or worse, you're going to end up with a grade. So make sure that you're mindful of that. For attendance, since we're not properly meeting, you're going to have 2 assignments each week that you'll need to get over 50% on in order to be counted present for the 2 days of the course. So if there's 2 attendance assignments one week and you get one of them up to 50%, or you say even you get a 70% on it, or even 100%, that's kind of what you're supposed to do. And the other one you only get like a 40% on, you only were present for one of those 2 days. Okay. You'll have until Sunday night at midnight to get those up to 50% in order to be counted present. If you get more than 3 absences for the course before the last day to withdraw, which is July 12th, you will be administratively withdrawn from the course. I will remove you from the course. That's not a mean thing. It's a college policy. If you're interested as to why we at John Tyler have an attendance policy, that is not an unfair question at all, because 4-year colleges don't have attendance policies, but we do, which I guess that sounds weird because it is. But there's a reason for it, and it's a really good reason. It's not this paternalistic, like, we want to make sure you're coming to class. Like, man, that's on you. You're adults. But we do have that policy, and I stick to it. If you want to know why, shoot me an email or come to an office hour. I would love to explain it to you. It makes perfect sense. Now, let's suppose you are in week 1. You'll see in the announcement, I tell you that the 2 attendance assignments that week is 1.1 functions and function notation and 1.2 domain and range. That means each of these assignments, you need to get up to 50% in order to be counted fully present for that week. So that needs to happen before the 13th of June at 11:59 p.m., which is like midnight. So make sure that you are staying on top of that. I cannot tell you how many students are going to be withdrawn from this course simply by virtue of the fact that they are not staying on top of the materials that are posted. It's not coming from, and that's not coming from like a condescending place, not coming from a mean place. I think some folks just kind of think, oh, well, if I just do all the work like the last week before it's due, then like we're good. No, you need to stay on top of it. This is, you need to, this is a progressive course, okay? So make sure that you are staying on top of what the expectations are each week. Okay, so make sure that you mind the assignments in blue. 10-point grading scale, nothing fancy here. Technically, if you really want to get in the weeds on this, an 89.5 is an A. At John Tyler, we use the nearest integer rounding function for grades. So 89.5 is an A, which also means 89.49, that's a B. Okay, I stick to the rounding convention on this so that I am distributing grades fairly. Ultimately, what it comes down to is, I don't want it to appear like I'm giving grades in one case, but not giving grades in another. The reality is you are earning all of your grades. Okay. Now, in this course, you're going to have 3 tests, a final exam, homework assignments, and I forgot to list it because I'm a goof, a project. This is hard to do with a mouse. Your syllabus has been updated to reflect this, and that's a T. There it is. All assignments are going to be completed on My Open Math, and grades will be stored in the Canvas course. Final exam will replace your lowest test grade if your final exam is higher than your lowest test grade. I am functionally illiterate. So there you go. If your lowest test grade wasn't obtained as the result of academic dishonesty. So if you got a 0 for an academic dishonesty, your final exam is not going to replace that grade. Now, the final exam is due August 2nd at 11:59 p.m. That's a Monday night. Make sure that it is done by then. If you start your exam at 11:58, you're only going to have 1 minute on it. So if I were you, I would definitely be starting it at least by 9:30 so that you get your full 2.5 hours on the exam. Now, you're going to be getting 2 grades in this course. Grade 1 is 90% test, 5% online homework, and 5% project grade. This probably sounds horrifying to most of you, and I completely understand. Not all of us are fantastic testers. I get that. So this model is great for somebody who tests incredibly well, but maybe didn't necessarily do their homework. If you're doing well on the tests and you didn't do the homework, you still obviously know the material. We're solid. You should still be able to be successful in the course. Grade 2, more students are going to use this. I'm going to be totally honest with you. That's going to be 65% tests, 30% online homework, and a 5% project grade. Ultimately, your project is worth 5% for both grading models. This is the best for most students, honestly. I'm going to use the higher of the two grades for your letter grade. So let me show a few examples of how that would pan out. So let's say we've got this student, bad tests, great online homework, and a fairly good project. Let's say they only had a test or exam score of 60%, 60% average. So that doesn't even necessarily mean 60 on all their tests. They had a 60% average. That's a D- average. But they earned all of their homework. They got a 100% on every single homework assignment, and they got an 80% on their project. So grade 1, they got a 63. That's a D. That's not great, which makes sense because they got a D- on something that was 90% of their grade. How would they end up with a C? That would be pretty nuts. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, for grade 2, which actually I'm realizing this is actually their grade. No, this was right. Grade 1. That was right. Grade 2, they got a 60 on 65% of their grade. They got a 100% on their homework, and they got an 80% on their project. That actually comes out to a 73, which is a C. This student gets a C. That's the highest of the two grades. Okay. I want you to wrap your head around that. You can get a D- on all of your tests in this class. But if you do all of your homework and you do really well on your on your project, you can pass this course. You can get a C in this class. So I understand that the test grades may not look great at any particular time in this course. I want you to keep in mind that your grade 2 is still in play, even if you're getting 60s on your tests. Okay, so just keep that in mind as grades start to go in for courses, or as for this course. Student 2, well, very good tests, terrible online homework, didn't do their project. So pretty much they only took their tests, they didn't do any homework, they didn't do their project, but they were getting 90, they got 90% on all of their tests. That student gets an 81. That's a B. Now I understand for grade 2, they got a 58.5, which is certainly an F. Doesn't matter. The higher of the two is a B, that student gets a B. Now I want to be clear with you. This is very unlikely, very, very, very unlikely. This very seldom happens. Honestly, I can't tell you the last time it did. If you aren't doing the homework, it's very unlikely that you're going to be getting 90% on the tests. The homework, the test problems are drawn directly from homework. Copy, paste. I had a student in one course evaluation say, oh, the test problems were nothing like the homework. That student obviously never did the homework, because for real, I move problems from homework to a test. That's what I do. There's no romance to it. There's no fancy pants. It's me deciding which questions I believe are representative of the knowledge you need in order to be successful in the course, and what a successful 161 student should look like. And I put them on the test. There's no surprises. You will not see any problem on the test the first time. That will not happen. I'm going to leave you to read the details of this over, but here's what's going to happen. Every homework assignment, there's a help thread. If you answer a question for someone else well, showing mathematical rigor, knowledge, and understanding, in the thread, you're going to get extra credit. You're going to get 10% extra credit, only awarded once per assignment, okay, for that assignment when the test deadline passes. So if you help somebody out in 1.4, they ask a question like, hey, how does rate of change work over this particular interval? That's weird. you'll say, oh, well, here's how rate of change works over an interval in abstraction, blah, 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 blah. I'll give you a thumbs up. I'll like your comment. I'll say, hey, that's awesome. That means you're getting the extra credit. You are getting the extra credit. When the test deadline for chapter 1 passes, you'll get 10% extra credit added onto your 1.4 assignment. Okay. If you just post a link to something else that helps and you don't give any explanation of your own, you're not going to get extra credit for that. You're going to definitely have helped another person out, which is awesome, and I love to see it, but you're not going to get extra credit for that. My advice to you all, honestly, for this, the utility of this extra credit, this is all sort of the side policy and nuance to it. Read it at your own leisure. My advice to you all for the extra credit, if you ask a question to me, even in office hours, over email, whatever, just post it on the thread. Give someone else the opportunity to sort of get the extra credit. If you guys even work together, find a friend in the course, and say, hey, could you post a particular question up, and did you have any questions for 1.4? And your friend says yes. Go, great, go ahead and post them up there. I'll answer it for you. Great, that's awesome. Ultimately, we all benefit from each other from everyone helping each other out. Okay. Maybe I'll even post a question up there for you all to take care of. That'd be kind of nice. We'll see. Extra credit is only assigned once per thread. Okay, keep that in mind. Right. All tests are going to be using the lockdown browser with webcam software. I can feel the rage bubbling over on the other side of the computer screen from some of you. I understand it's not perfect. Some would argue it's not even good. I get it. It's the most efficient way for us to test. Otherwise, you would be driving to a testing center, which may be asking a lot of particular folks for given hours. Zoom proctoring can be a really tricky thing. There's third-party proctoring services that are incredibly expensive to the college that are really no different than a Zoom proctor. That's a little bit more invasive and a little bit more in your face. Make sure that you are following the software directions. I'm going to be providing everything you need in order to use this software correctly, and I'm going to talk a lot about using the software correctly in this video. Okay, so make sure that you're watching at least this part. You got to follow the directions. If there is a technological anomaly for anything that elicits a grade in the course, you may or may not be leaving yourself open to getting a 0 for that thing. You'll need to only use an approved scientific calculator. You can't use formula sheets of any ilk or variety. If you write formulas on something and you're using it during the test before you started taking your test or before you entered the launching portal for it, yeah, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be academic dishonesty. And you need to agree to an academic honesty statement at the start of every test. You have to do that. Now, scratch work. So let me talk about that. When you're taking your test, what you're going to want to do is write down everything you're doing on a sheet of paper and type your final answer into My Open Math. That's what you're going to want to do. And you're going to take that paper that you did everything on, you're going to scan that and attach it to me on Canvas so that I can award partial credit if you didn't get a problem right. Now, obviously, if you get a 100% on the test and you didn't, you don't need to submit your scratch work because you don't need any partial credit. Okay. So if you don't submit that to me in the proper way, the best you can get is 20% for each question. And that's assuming that your response even seems remotely reasonable. Okay. It's really hard to partially grade something with online grading. So really make sure that you're doing the right thing here. I'm going to, believe you me, I'm going to be talking about the submission of this. Okay. But again, the directions for submitting this is in the week overview pages. So you see how these are really important and they have a lot of information in there. You're going to see week overview pages a lot in the syllabus. Okay. I'm going to talk more about the scratch work here in a sec. There are no makeups. If you miss a test, you miss a test. It's going to be a 0. Good news for that is final exam is going to replace your lowest test grade. Boom, that'll be the test grade that's replaced. The only time the final exam won't replace a 0 is when 0 as a result of academic dishonesty. Even if you get a retest from academic dishonesty, that grade is not eligible for being changed as the result of the final exam. Okay. Now that thing I just said is very, very infrequent, very, very not common, but it has happened. Okay, so I just want to be clear about that. If you are incapable of completing a test because of life circumstances, and believe you me, when there's this little bug that's been going around and all kinds of things have been happening left and right to people, that certainly is possible. If you can prove and substantiate what it is that you're telling me for the particular circumstance and why you can't take a test in a given week, we can work something out. I'm not a barbarian. I'm here because I like working with students. I'm here because I like working with you in particular, you, not you like lowercase u, students at John Tyler, you, the person who is watching this video. Okay, so we're going to work something out. You do need to submit this information to me within 24 hours before the deadline of the test. Okay, so if it's like Tuesday the next week, there's not really anything that can be done at that juncture. Okay, so we need to work something out beforehand. Okay. If there is a technology failure before, during, after the test administration, contact me directly, email me directly. If you experience any issues of this variety within 24 hours of test, you accept the possibility that I won't be able to fix it in time for the deadline to pass, and you'll receive a 0 for the test. That's why you can't put stuff off to the last minute. Do not put things off to the last minute. I cannot tell you how many times I'll get emails from students. They'll say, hey, I was working on my test Sunday night at 11:47 p.m. and internet went out, so couldn't finish the test. Can you reopen it for me? No, I cannot. The deadline is passed. You had a week. When you push things off to the last minute, you're expecting the universe to work together with you to make sure that it gets done on time. And that's just not a smart thing to ever do. I've heard these TED Talks say that procrastinators are like a type of person. It's a personality quirk, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy it. Procrastination is a choice. It's a decision. If you make that choice, if you make that decision, you've put yourself at risk. Now, if you procrastinate and it works out, hey, great, it's done. That's awesome. But there may be a time where it doesn't, and that might be a problem. So please, 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 I've had so many students get burned by this. Believe me when I tell you, it comes up so often. It's such a bummer. Obviously, if you share any information about a test with one of your peers, that's going to be academic dishonesty. I hate submitting information about academic dishonesty. I hate everything about it. It's the worst part of my job, but I take it seriously. So please make sure that you are doing the right thing. If you submit scratch work, passwords, questions, answers, etc., obviously that's going to be a problem. You and the person it has been shared with is going to have an academic dishonesty letter on your file. So don't do that. I had students one semester share the passwords with each other because they said, "Oh, we were having a hard time logging in." Yeah, that was academic. They got letters for academic dishonesty in their files. It's really, really important that you don't share anything with anybody else in this course regarding the test. Scratch work. So I may or may not be posting a scratch work organizer for you just to kind of keep things, buttoned up for you, keep you on track. If you use that during your test, that is obviously totally awesome. You don't have to. You could just use a piece of like notebook paper or printer paper or cardstock if you're fancy, and just number it and organize it in a way that I can read it. The scratch work is going to be submitted to Canvas as a PDF file. That has to be done within 1 hour of the completion of the tests through My Open Math. What this basically prevents is folks from doing their test and then spending a couple extra days on problems as they see fit. That's not fair to everyone else. So make sure it's within an hour. It'll take you seriously 5 minutes to submit it. Especially for my iPhone users, it'll take absolutely no time at all. So make sure that you are doing that. If you don't submit it to me within the deadline, I can't give you the partial credit for it. It's really important that you do that. Scratch work needs to be submitted. It can be the difference between being successful in the course and not. I award way more than 20% partial credit for questions if there's competence shown. That's really a big deal. 20% is not a whole lot. Okay, so if that's what you're left with for an incorrect answer for a question, that's going to have a pretty significant impact on your test grade. If I can't read your scratch work due to illegibility or disorganization, I can't use it. So then I won't use it. And then you'll be left with the electronic grading and 20% credit, 20% at most credit per missed question, depending on the quality of your answer. Okay, if scratch work is shared, obviously both students are going to receive 0 points for their test, and they'll have an academic dishonesty citation through the college. That 0 will not be replaced by their final exam grade. Okay. Now, for webcam policies, I've had students say, "Oh, I hate how like you have to crunch down and take your test that way." You don't have to do that. So I've got the correct and the incorrect way to do things side by side here. For the correct way, if this student were to sit up straight, and this student being my department chair, if this student were to sit up straight, I wouldn't be able to see her face. That's okay. She already showed me her face in the ID check. We're good there. So make sure I can see your face for the ID check, and then you can get into this position. And if I don't see your face, that's totally fine. I want to see what your hands are doing. I want to see a little bit of your environment. We're good there. This student, who actually is me in my office, I only see their face, which this is not a great face. I can say it because it's mine, but it's pretty unimpressive. I have no idea what's going on in the environment. I don't see anything that they're writing down. I have no idea whether or not they're even using a legal calculator. I have no idea what's going on. The student to the left, you see her legal calculator right there. You see her scratch work. You see her environment behind her. That's great. She's doing awesome. This person is not. This person is a goober. We hate him. He's the worst. Smelly and dumb. As a note, I'm talking entirely about me. It's fine. Don't leave your camera. That's obviously super problematic. Obviously, the reasons within your control, you need to sort out before you take your test. I have a 2-year-old. There may or may not certainly be a time I would need to step away from my computer because he has a penchant for destruction. He likes destroying things. It's his very favorite thing. He's passionate about it. He's good at it. It's really something he loves doing. He's even figured out child-proof locking, which is horrifying. These things happen. If I stepped away from the camera at any point to take care of that, I would definitely make it known in the video when I sat back down. Hey, just so you know, my son started barbecuing a goat in the middle of the living room, so I had to sort that out. I don't know where he got the goat, but he was barbecuing it. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm not a barbarian. If you step away from something that needs to be dealt with, then obviously that is completely okay. But all the reasons that are within your control, bathroom break, water, whatever the case may be, make sure that that's taken care of before you take your test. Only use approved resources. They're closed note, closed book. You can't feign ignorance about this. I've had students say, "Oh, I had no idea it was a closed note." Stop it. All tests in this class are closed note, closed book. You can use an approved calculator, blank scratch paper, and anything allowed by the college through an IAP. If you don't know what that is, it's totally fine. If you do, you should know what's allowed through your IAP, and you should have submitted it to me by now. You can only use the blank scratch paper and an approved calculator. Again, for blank scratch paper, if you use the organizer I may provide for the test, then certainly you can use that. You're going to agree to an honor code statement before you start any the start of any test. That's not meant to be like a prick to your conscience or some paternalistic type thing. It's really just to make sure that we're all agreeing to the same rules of engagement in how we engage in the academic activity of the course. Last point, this is really important. I exist and I'm paid to be of service to you. One thing about these asynchronous classes is sometimes it's really easy to forget that your professor is real, that they're real, carbon-based, oxygen-breathing humans on the other side of a computer screen, and they are paid to help you through this curriculum. I am going to do that. Come to an office hour. send me an email, whatever the case may be. Any way that you can engage and communicate with me, I am super into it. I like working with you. Please do that. I hope that this is helpful to you all. This is, again, just the gist. I encourage you to read the syllabus. If there was anything that came up that was startling or didn't seem to make sense to you, and reach out if you have any questions. Here's the part where I'm trying to find the stop recording button. There we go.